work. One of the key things that's going to happen then is we're going to try and look at what the government can do to try and fix the problems that we've discovered with regards to the market model, and see if those solutions that the government puts in place actually work or not. All right, so if I do this button and this button, it should bring up the meet attendance, which is useful to know. All right, okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, we shall present our material. I shall jump into the window, Now, I should have posted the code C2SHM. It should appear in the classroom. If you could jump into the Nearpod with me, that would be great. C2SHM. So if you jump into the Nearpod, we're looking at elasticity. We're going to be finishing elasticity off. Finished. That's the plan, at any rate. So if you all jump in there, that would be brilliant. Sign into nearpod.com. Use the code C2SHM, and you should arrive into the Nearpod itself. And while you're doing that, I will move us forward where I want us to be. All right, so we've looked at price elasticity of demand. We discussed inelastic and elastic. We looked at determinants of PED. We looked at real-life examples. We have discussed why we should be interested in PED. Right, so ideas about revenue for businesses, but also things like what the impact for a business might be as to what they can do with knowledge of PED, and also the government, what they can do with knowledge of PED. Now, I have reminded you, I believe, about this particular question here, and suggested it's a very good question to have a practice at when you're at home. And if you get stuck on it, you can always ask for help. All right, now, price elasticity of supply was what we were thinking about. We were looking at how responsive quantity supplied would be to a change in price. Quantity supplied would be to a change in price. You all joining in? Only got 6 of you in the Nearpod lesson. Where are the rest of you? Hey team. One in the Nearpod lesson, 1, 2. Let's push that button again, see if that makes a difference. All right, here we go. Now we've got 7. That's good. Right, so we worked out the formula for price elasticity of supply, or PES, which was percentage change in quantity supplied divided by the percentage change in the price. So it's going to be the same formula as we used for PED, but instead of it being quantity demanded, it's quantity supplied. All right, so percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price is PED, but percentage change in quantity supplied divided by the percentage change in the price is PES. So that's quite helpful, because you're not going to get, as we said the other week, you're not going to get like a formula sheet as you go into the exam. Okay, there's no question in the exam that puts the equation necessarily there in front of you. In fact, they can actually ask you what the formula is as one of the questions. Okay, and if that's the case, then you can actually get maybe up to 2 marks for just defining price elasticity of supply and putting the equation in. So well worth remembering those. Right, there was an example we worked out with regards to price elasticity of supply. We talked about the same idea, so it's the same concept about whether something is more responsive or less responsive, right, to a quantity change, to a price change. Right, so it's whether the quantity supplied is relatively inelastic, so doesn't change particularly much at all to a price change, or whether the quantity supplied is quite changeable, dependent on the change in the price. So this is a relatively inelastic supply curve, so it looks more like the letter I, and this one a relatively elastic supply curve, so it looks more like the letter E. And there was the practice question. And did we have a go at this one the other week?
No.
No? All right, well, time to go now. The price of books has decreased from $10 to $8 per book. Quantity supplied has also decreased, but it's decreased by 50%. So we're given the calculation there. You don't have to work that one out, but you do have to work out the price calculation. Calculate PES and then tell me what does that mean for books. Where you go. There you go. Okay, so you've got the 50% calculation here, quantity supplied already. Queen is higher than the princess, so you have to work out the percentage change in the price. And then you do the 50% divided by that percentage. What does it equal? When you're playing these sorts of games at home, or when you're just in the exam and you see the question, remember to think about the case study a little bit, right? Because it's the price of books. I haven't said what type of books necessarily, so that might give you a clue then, right, as to the type or the nature of the elasticity that it's wanting you to talk about. Let's see, Darwish, 50% divided by 20% equals 2.5. All right, try and use the percentages if possible. The actual, is that code the percentage? Good, and good thinking. You haven't talked about elasticity yet. Yes, good work, Connor. Yeah, Eve, we wanted you to actually show the calculation, not just the answer, if you can, please. And Wenching, if you can show the calculation. You seem to be asking me, Isaac. Yeah, should know. You should know. Think about it. Remember, the number one is quite an important one. Yeah? If it is bigger than the number one, is it more responsive or less responsive? Is it bigger than the number one? Does that mean it's more responsive or less responsive? So the price change was 20%. You worked that one out. Well done. Quantity change was 50%. So is that a bigger than proportional response or a less than proportional response? Okay, we'll move on. So this one here is going to be perfectly elastic, just as we did with demand. Perfectly elastic, we can write the letter E. All right. See here, perfectly inelastic. So no response at all. This one here, perfectly elastic. This one here, no response. This one here, unitary response. So exactly proportional. And again, the mathematicians amongst you will be very quick to point out that it is exactly proportional. So it would be 10 to 10 and 20 to 20 and 30 to 30. Okay. Now I'm using another terminology here. You'll notice this. I've said momentary supply for coffee. So this is an example of a case study. So we're talking about coffee, right? So let's imagine that you go to buy coffee at I don't know, a Starbucks, something, yeah? You turn up and you want some coffee. Offer them some money, get some coffee. Oh, I'd like some more coffee. Oh, well, hold on, you'll have to wait because they have to make the coffee. They have to put it in the grinder and, yeah? So they can't instantly give you more. It doesn't matter how much money you pay. They cannot supply more until they've actually made more. So that would be perfectly inelastic at that moment. If we allow for more time to elapse, then we will find that the businesses will become more elastic. And eventually, if you give them enough time, then possibly perfectly elastic. Right? But remember, at the moment, this is all we have. This is it. But then if you wait and give them some time, they might be able to find some more. So therefore, we need to think about determinants of PES, the things that determine the price elasticity of supply curve. And the first one I've already hinted at for you is the idea of the time period. All right? The longer time you have makes it easier for the business to actually manufacture more of the product. So therefore, it should be more responsive or more elastic the more time you allow. The shorter the time period means there's less time for them to respond to you and price changes. So therefore, they'll be less responsive, therefore more inelastic. So if you're demanding things right now, yeah, you're demanding them right now, then you're not going to necessarily be able to get more of them. And it's not going to matter what the price is, because that's all there is. Similarly, the amount of stock that they have on hand. If they've got a lot of stock there, then they're able to say, yeah, you can have some and you can have some, yeah. Right? But if it's not as easy to have stock at hand, then, you know, oh, yes, we've got some, but it's in a different store. We'll have to get them to bring it to us. We'll have to get a grab. Oh, it's busy, yeah. The level of spare capacity that they have. So capacity is a fancy word for capability. So how much capability they have to manufacture more products, right? So how easy is it for their factories to just make more, you know? I mean, you think about the iPhones. They've just released the iPhone 12, or yes, right? Well, big demand for it, but it's going to take time for them all to arrive in the shops. They can't just instantly arrive. Right? The factories are producing as many as they can. Right? Down here, mobility and the cost of factors of production. How expensive is it to employ the people who make the product? The more expensive it is, yeah, that's going to have an impact on how responsive you are to a change in the price. If you don't have the resources where you are, you've got to bring them from somewhere else, it's going to make it more expensive. So those four major things have a very strong impact on the price elasticity of supply. So you know what I'm going to ask you to do next. I'm going to ask you to explain two determinants of price elasticity of supply. You've got about 30 seconds. Go. Good work, Ingy. All right, remember the idea is to explain, but yes, you've identified, but that's okay. Yeah, that is right. They are indeed two determinants of PES. All right, for the higher skill, right, for more marks, you need to actually explain how they determine PES. Here we go. Work, Tracy. Good. Yeah. Well done. Yeah, Eve, we're wanting to know those determinants. So spare capacity, yes. All right. How easy it is to increase production. Yeah, okay. If there's a shift in demand, good. All right. Number of producers and ease and entry into the market. That's a point. Yeah. You know, you're right. That will work too. A little bit higher level thinking, that one. Let's wait for a couple more seconds. Rest of you to jump in. Good, very good, Connor. All right, so here we've got the idea here. You've identified, you've then explained, identified the determinant and explained. Good. Good to see you, Darwish. Let's see what you've got. Yes, well done. And Darwish has also added about the actual nature of the elastic and inelastic as well. There's already a lot of stock they can supply very easily. It would be inelastic. Probably more elastic in that case. If it's difficult to supply, it would be inelastic. Good. Well done, Minching. Easily supply at the moment. If not, can't be as responsive. Good. Yes, well done, Isaac. Fantastic. Rock stars. So why is PES important? Oh my word. Well, just think about this, all right? If it takes longer for firms to respond, consumers may be affected. They may decide, oh, yeah, nah, not going to buy from them, not going to buy that product. So it can be a significant impact on one of the key stakeholders in the marketplace, and that's us, the consumers. We know this. You've been in this situation where you've been wanting to buy the product, but the people selling it have said, well, yeah, we don't have any on stock at the moment, but you might have to wait. And you've looked at your watch and gone, oh, yeah, all right, well, I tell you what, I just won't buy it then. And you've walked off. I'm guessing. Producers, if the PES is elastic, they're able to quickly respond. They're able to take advantage of those higher prices, which is going to mean revenue and profits. Yay. That's what they're going to want. The government, how quickly are they able to add capacity into things like healthcare? Because the government's providing. The government is a producer, right? So how quickly can they build a hospital? Done. How quickly can they add doctors? Boom, done. Yeah. It also impacts their decisions about taxes and subsidies, when you look at it from that point of view. So PES, really quite significant. Consumers, it's significant because if it takes longer, you might possibly change your mind. There's a whole section in IB economics about this as well. And that's why producers will try and they will have little strategies to make you make a quick decision. Right? You've gone online, it's 10 other people are looking at this exact product. Buy now, don't wait. Yeah, they're wanting that time period between you buying to be short. They're wanting to try and encourage you to buy. They're wanting to make it appear as if they're going to be able to respond to you quite quickly. And they're wanting you to hold on. Right? And if they can respond very quickly, then they're able to take advantage of those prices and gain the profits. Again, you know what I'm wanting you to do. Explain why PES is so important, particularly to a producer and a consumer. Go. About 30 seconds. Where you go. Oh, quicker than that. Come on, you can do it. Here we go. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so kind of wanting you to think about the impact on the consumers there. So yeah, they're not able to purchase the product, or at least the producers can't produce it quick enough for them, which then delays their purchase. So they might actually decide not to buy it. Good. Right. I want you to have a go. Last couple. Okay, well done. Well done, Angie. It's absolutely right. That's really good. Well done. Very screenshotable, that one. Okay. Right back. Right, so things we need to be able to do. Firstly, we need to be able to define what PES is. Tick. We need to be able to calculate PES using the formula and then being able to interpret the result. Tick. We need to be able to draw and interpret supply curve diagrams illustrating different PESs. Tick. We need to be able to explain the key influences or the determinants on PES. Tick. We need to be able to analyze the significance of PES on decision-making of producers, consumers, and government. So the one that we could possibly do, because I skipped through it, I wanted to get to determinants, is illustrating an elastic and an inelastic supply. Now the key is it's a supply curve. So it is going to be upward sloping. So have a wee go at that one, please. All right, so have a go. An elastic supply and an inelastic supply. Yeah, we need it to be supply. Yeah, Darwish, not demand. Yeah, Tracy, we need it to be supply, not demand. Looking good, Connor. Good, Eve. Okay, so you've gone for the perfect examples. All right. That's possible to do. Yeah, Isaac, this one is actually more inelastic. Yeah. If you're thinking about supply, you might want to rethink just a little bit. And keep working on them with the smiley face. You know, just be careful here with intersecting with the 0. All right, there's a bit of a rule with that. Okay. Oh, limbs have disappeared. They were there a minute ago. Here we go. I like Eve's. This is really good. Connor's. And Tracy, yours is looking better now. Tracy might have figured out a secret. Yeah, that's right, Ching. Yes, that is indeed inelastic. It is perfectly inelastic. Okay. All right, so if let's do a show and tell. Let's see, who shall we show and tell? Let's show and tell Wenchings, just for a minute. All right, so we've got perfectly inelastic and almost perfectly elastic curves, which is really good to see. You'll notice something about where they intersect the axes, okay? All right, the more elastic it is, the more it is intersecting the elastic on the price axis. The more inelastic it is, the more it's intersecting on the quantity axis. And that's what's going to happen, because if it's perfectly inelastic, it's not responding to price at all. If it's perfectly elastic, it's responding perfectly, completely here in the quantity side and not the price side. So a perfect elastic curve would be a horizontal line, say here at number 6. But a perfectly inelastic would be perfectly vertical at, say, the number 6 here. So therefore, the more elastic it is, the more likely it is to be on this axis, and the more inelastic, the more likely it is to be on that one. So if we close, we'll just unshare mentions. So if we then go and have a look here at Eve's, all right, now Eve has done inelastic and elastic, and that's absolutely right. Okay, this is more responsive because it's leaning more towards the price axis, and this one is more inelastic because it's leaning more towards being completely vertical on the quantity axis. So you see where it intersects is going to be a determinant about the degree of elasticity, which is quite odd when you think about it. All right. So therefore, if it was exactly at 0 and it went out here, 45 degrees, out there, then it would be exactly proportional. So therefore, unitary. So if it is intersecting with the 0, that's why I said about being careful about the 0 before. If it is intersecting here, then it's going to be unitary. Fan, you guys are rock stars. Look at that. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, determinants, significance, self-check. Now, I've also included some videos that you can use in the slides. I'm going to stop the sharing now and jump back to the meet. Hello, team. Now, I've recorded the session. Okay, please, tasks to complete. Review elasticity, price elasticity of demand, price elasticity of supply. Really important, particularly going forward, that we are 100% comfortable with those. All right, there's going to be a practice question. So the next time we meet, you're going to have a practice question to go through. So you need to have done PED and PES, because we will do that practice question in the session. All right. So we're going to do that. So please review those. If you have any questions, please email me and I'll do my best to answer. Otherwise, we're going to stop there for today so that you've got a bit of mental space, all right, between this lesson and your next lesson, but also so that you've got a bit of time to do some review and ask questions if you need to. I've recorded the session. This will go up into the classroom once it's all processed through. Otherwise, as we say in the land of my birth, he konera, which means goodbye.
Thank you, Mr. David.
Thank you, Mr. David.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You're still on the...
Yeah. You're still record?
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing.
Okay.
I'll send you the message.
All right. Okay.